Heading into a new console generation, one of the key imperatives every generation is always gonna be the power of a console, which console is gonna be the more powerful console. Even if it's not the most important thing in the world, at least to a lot of people, it shouldn't be the most important thing in the world. To other people, it's a way to gauge which platform is better. It's a way to suggest, hey, I bought the platform that's more powerful. Hey, my allegiance with PlayStation or my allegiance with Xbox is gonna end up paying dividends because my platform is more powerful. Whatever the case may be, talking about power heading into a generation is always going to be one of the key talking points. It was a key talking point when talking about the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it was absolutely, I would say, even a bigger key talking point when talking about the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. My god, back in those days, maybe some of you guys were not online back then, the talk about the power discrepancy between the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 was so crazy. It was even more crazy back then because the PlayStation 3, as you guys probably know, had the ridiculous cell architecture. So while some people would say, hey, these games are looking better, performing better on the Xbox 360, other people would point towards things like the PlayStation 3 exclusives, and it was just a complete shit show. But now we're heading into the PlayStation 5, and there's been a lot of talk about this 9.2 teraflops leaked figure, and that may not be accurate, insiders suggest. Last month's PlayStation 5 leak, which revealed a 9.2 teraflop figure for the console, may not be completely accurate. On the Restera forum, Klee Game Fan, who has been providing information on the next generation consoles in the past few months, revealed that his information regarding the PlayStation 5 specs doesn't match the GitHub Oberon leak discovered last month. It was just noted, well, can you confirm that what you know of the specs do not match the leak? And he responded, no, they do not match. The GitHub leak, which also revealed information on the Xbox Series X, is probably the most reliable leak seen in the past 6 months, considering it has been verified by many, including Digital Foundry. As both Sony and Microsoft have yet to talk about specific specs, we have to take every leak with a little bit of a grain of salt. Back in November also, Klee Game Fan talked about the two consoles' performance, highlighting how the PlayStation 5 was slightly ahead of the Xbox Series X. However, that also has to be taken with a grain of salt because it could just be an instance of the PlayStation 5 dev kit being a little bit more further along than the Xbox Series X. And that was what was noted. The gap, however, was likely due to the PlayStation 5 dev kit and development software to be in more of an advanced state. Noting, quote, right now game performance is better on PlayStation 5. I believe that is probably because PlayStation 5 development hardware and software are in a more advanced state. I fully expect Scarlett to close that gap once they ship more mature dev kits and software. It must be said, since software, not hardware, is a traditional Microsoft area of expertise, it's very possible that they could ultimately deliver more advanced DirectX development software in the end, allowing games to run better on Scarlett even if the hardware is less capable. Obviously, that's an area where Microsoft is always going to be stronger than Sony at, is from a software development side of things. Microsoft just has years upon years of experience, decades even, of developing software. Well, I'm not saying that Sony is a complete slouch in that area. When comparing them to Microsoft, it's just completely night and day given the expertise that Microsoft does have in the area. Now, what does all of this suggest, and what am I trying to get across to you guys? I know that this talk of, oh, which platform is more powerful than which platform, I know that this talk is going to be an imperative, especially when comparing PlayStation and Xbox. That's just always going to be a key talking point. That's really not relevant when you talk about Nintendo platforms, the Switch, because those are always designed with a little bit weaker hardware, and also when you talk about PC, because there's so much variance in the hardware, and if you do want to dump a lot of money, you can get a high-end PC that'll have hardware way surpassing the console. But when you're talking about Microsoft, Xbox versus Sony and PlayStation, because they're so comparable in terms of performance, price, and all of those elements, it's a lot more of a competitive race, and I guess that competitiveness does draw a lot of people in, and it's clear to see that a lot of people do pick sides. I know some of you guys are always going to be of the mindset, hey, just get both consoles. Well, first of all, that's a tough ask for a lot of people, dropping, what, $1,000 a generation on consoles, and then you're talking about subscription services, you're talking about all the games. That's a lot of money to drop, and maybe some people aren't financially equipped for that, and I can completely understand that. Second of all, does that even make any sense, given the fact that, yes, the majority of the games are going to be crossed over on both platforms, and this is what I'll constantly go back to. It's not like one of these platforms is going to be considerably more powerful than the other, because at the end of the day, you you know that the third-party game developer, whether it be an EA, a 2K Games, all of these other developers, they want to ultimately bring their games to both platforms. Unless there's some exclusivity agreement in place, they want to release their games on as many platforms as possible so they can sell as many copies as possible, so they can open the doors for their games to be played by as many people as possible. So for anyone to think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be worlds ahead of the next Xbox, or the next Xbox is going to be worlds ahead of the PlayStation 5, I really do think you're completely mistaken. I think you're completely off base on that. Now, I do think it's going to come down to the developers to accentuate the power of each console, and the difference between the two consoles is really going to be evident in the exclusives, but I wouldn't really say that comes down from a hardware side of things. I would say that comes down to a development side of things, because you can say that the Xbox One X is the most powerful console of this generation. Yes, I would probably agree with you on that, the One X being the most powerful, but then you look at a game like God of War 2018, and that game is just on another level visually, and that's because Sony Santa Monica was able to push the PlayStation 4 to its absolute limits, and I can't really say that any of Microsoft's first-party studios has been able to do something that similar. Forza Horizon 4 does look great, but God of War, in my opinion, is just on another level. And then you look at games like Spider-Man, you look at an Uncharted 4 that was even released at 2016, it comes down to the developers being able to accentuate the hardware more so than generally the hardware that's actually inside. That's important, don't get me wrong, but the hardware is going to be compelling, it is going to have a lot of horsepower, but it's going to come down to the game offerings that both of the first-party studios are going to be able to offer. I really think that's going to be the difference maker when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and which platform does better, and I think people are starting to understand that. It's not a big deal in terms of how many teraflops this platform has. Sure, if it has more power, that's great, and developers are going to be able to accentuate that, but it comes down to the compelling games and the quantity of games each platform has, and I think from a Microsoft standpoint and a Sony standpoint, they both have that down pat. You see Microsoft developing all of these first-party studios. Sony obviously has so many studios under their umbrella, and acquiring an Insomniac only adds to that. So that's going to conclude this video. I hope that from a power standpoint, a lot of you guys are coming at this the right way, and it's not really, you know, a measurement contest or anything like that. Let's not bring in too much profanity here, but sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.